Welcome to the channel. Today we will discuss the forward mid prices. So yeah, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, all that. Anyway, so first guy I want to discuss is Jordan De Goey. Now, his really nice first name, but my issue is I don't think he can score enough playing as much forward as Collingwood need him to play. So that's my issue. I mean, he's a super talent. Like in the grand final, he scored 3 goals, but had I think it was 61 Supercoach points. That's not enough for a 3-goal game. I mean, that's just a small sample, but if you look at his scores last year, they're very up and down. So I don't love it, and maybe one for the future if he plays more midfield, but he's too valuable for Collingwood up forward, and they have too many midfielders, so pass on to Goey for me. Jack Darling is interesting. I haven't heard much about him, but all I know is he's dominating pre-season from reports, and last year he averaged 110 in the first half of the year before he got injured. So that's pretty great, especially for a key forward that's not Buddy Franklin. So that's really impressive. So yeah, the talent is there, but the main issue with that was when he started playing with Josh Kennedy around after the bye, his scoring was not the same. So that's my issue. I haven't seen any evidence of Darling scoring really well at a premium standard consistently with Kennedy in the team. So for that reason, I can't bring myself to pick Darling. However, Josh Kennedy is injured at the moment. If he has a long-term injury, I think I will consider Darling. And based on last year, the first half, I think you have to consider him. So reasonably priced as well for what his output in the first half last season. So it's probably not going to happen, but as in me picking him, but still one to watch. Now, we're going to skip Petrarca. We all know what happened last year. Maybe it's possible for him to become a premium, but I highly doubt it. I don't think he has the tank to play enough midfield minutes for him to score as a premium. Because ever since he was drafted, that was the big question of him, his tank. And it's been, what, 4 or 5 years now, and his tank's still not there. So maybe it'll happen, but not for me. Next we have Jack Martin. So Jack Martin has been picked a little bit almost every year by a few people. Maybe around 5% ownership every year, something like that. Because they think he's going to break out. When he was drafted, I remember the draft guys saying, like, he is a generational talent, but it just hasn't converted to AFL. So all I know about Jack Martin is Stuart Dew said he's the best trainer so far this pre-season. I think this was an article about a month ago on afl.com.au, and he's expecting Jack Martin to play a bit more midfield time. So that's pretty good. That's kind of promising, but again, we're kind of relying on him to break out. He's 24 now, and it hasn't happened yet. It might happen, but I can't get a really good read on it. But there's some decent evidence so far this pre-season. So I think it's a little too risky, but I think it can happen. So for that reason, I won't be picking him, but one guy you can look at though. Okay, next guy we have Jack Billings. So this is kind of interesting because Jack Billings was, what's his ownership? It's really low, I think. 2%, that's terrible, jeez. Anyway, so yeah, 2% ownership. I think he had like 30 last year. So here's the problem with Jack Billings. And this is not a good trait to have, and maybe it'll change one day. He's the biggest downhill skier going around. He scored 0 hundreds against top 8 teams. 0 last year. That's not good. That's very bad. And I think he only had 3 scores above 80. Oh, I think it's 3 scores above 85 or something against top 8 teams. So yeah, a lot of really terrible like 60s and 50s in there. I think he doubts himself and he needs confidence to play. And I think he's out of contract this year. So yeah, he's one guy that could completely burn you really badly, but I think he'll turn it around a little bit. I don't think he'll be as bad as he was last year, but still, you cannot trust Jack Billings. He has a lot of talent, so I think at some point in his career he can turn it around, maybe with a club change. But what I saw last year was all-time terrible for what we thought was going to be a premium. So no to Jack Billings. Next guy we have is Parfit. So Parfit, this is kind of interesting. He's another one like Petrarca. I think he has fitness. He needs to overcome some fitness issues to play a lot more in the midfield, and he has been working on that, but I'm not sure he can pull out the consistency yet. I mean, it's just really hard to tell. That's the thing. But he did score a 168 last year, but he also scored a 26. So that's yeah, who knows what you're gonna get. So I think Parfit is one for the future. I'm not sure if it's this year. He's kind of inconsistent, and he's had 2 pretty bad injuries. I think he had a 10-week hamstring and some foot problem last year. That's over the past 2 years. So I don't think it's the worst pick in the world, and I think it can work out, but I don't like the odds of it being for the long run. So I don't think I'll pick Parfit, but he's one to watch. Maybe sort of mid-season he hits his straps and he starts performing really well. I don't know, but huge talent, very big talent. I think he'll be a premium one day, but it's just too risky for me to pick him this year. But if you want to pick him, then go with your gut. So yeah. So now we have my favourite mid-pricer in the forward line, and it is the ever so talented Jade Gresham. So I tweeted something out, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, where I said, so in his TAC Cup, he averaged 146 over 13 games. That's pretty good. That's better than good. That's pretty great. But it is the TAC Cup. And he was the only forward last year to be rated elite in disposals, goals, and goals assists. That's pretty good, but he was rated poor for defensive pressure. But that's not that important in Supercoach. Kind of is, but it's not as important as other stuff. So this is his first full preseason this year, and he's only missed 6 games in his 3-year career, and he's played pretty much all forward. Now, he is moving to the midfield this year. He's training with the midfield group. So I don't know how much, so he will play more midfield time, but how much, I'm not sure. I suspect it'll be more mid than forward, because really he is a midfielder, but he's just really good as a forward. But I'm only making a guess, sort of. So it's really tough, but I think he's training with the midfield group, so that's promising. And he was 4th for centre clearances at St Kilda, and he barely played forward. He barely played midfield. So little that he's not even a mid forward. He's just a straight forward, no DPP. So that's my thoughts on Gresham. So yeah, there is a question mark over the role, but he's a clearance machine. So, and he's super talented. He's big time. To perform the way he did last year at a bottom 14, that's very impressive. So I really like Jade Gresham. I understand there's risk there. There's not a lot of evidence of him playing full-time mid at AFL level. But yeah, anyway, I've talked about him enough, but if there's anyone I want to pick, or at least one guy you should keep an eye on, it's Gresham, in my opinion. So, yeah. Next we have... Okay, Tom Lynch has been injured for a very long time, and I don't know how he's going to work with Rewalt, so I'm going to kind of skip him, but I don't think it's a promising pick. Dowhouse, no, probably not. Josh J. Kennedy, I think he's had a very interrupted preseason. Maybe an upgrade target later on. Okay, I want to address James Warple. So he's been getting a bit of attention on social media. He's had a very good preseason. No more Tom Mitchell for this year. So the midfield opportunity is there. But I really do not understand or get this pick like at all. I can see, yeah, he's going to play midfield time, and he has Sam Mitchell in his corner right now. So that's one guy you really want coaching you for the midfield, because he did an outstanding job with Redden and Yo last year, and maybe Shui, I'm not sure, but I know he worked closely with Redden and Yo. But here's the fact of the matter is he's played 9 games, and he also played 2 finals games where he was worst on ground in both. Like, I'm not having a go at like a young player, but like I just don't like that. It doesn't sit well with me if I wanted to have him in my team. So I don't love Warple. I just think there's a lack of evidence. I don't think he has the talent of guys that have broken out in a second year like McRae, Oliver, and Merritt, who are all high draft picks. So yeah, I don't understand this pick. There's just such a lack of evidence, and he had a few scores like in the 30s last year. Yeah, I can't trust this pick, and there's no evidence of consistency, even though he's doing well in training. There's no evidence of him playing consistently very well in the midfield. For that reason, I will not touch this pick. So yeah, I just don't understand it. Yeah, Sam Mitchell will do good things with him, but I just can't see him turning into a premium. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't get it. So Tom Papley is a guy that whoops, revealed my team by accident. So Tom Papley, I've heard, is going to get more midfield time this year. I don't know enough about him, but he's one to watch in the preseason. I'm looking at the midfielders. I think there's one more I wanted to touch on, and that was Toby Green. So the worst pick of 2019 will be, if I can just find him. Okay. The worst pick of this year will be Toby Green. Now, I've seen he's in 18% of teams right now. That's just sad, honestly. As Donald Trump would say, this is so sad. But I don't get this pick at all. Supercoach is not a game of pick the best players. It's pick the best players in terms of you consider value, you consider durability, you consider how well their preseason has been, and you know if they're injury prone or not. Are they more likely than others to get injured? So it's not just picking about the best players for one game. It's picking the best for 22 games. And I can't think of a worse player than Toby Green, apart from... I mean, there is worse, but he's a suspension magnet. He's an injury magnet. He's had barely any preseason. He's just been doing running. And he's still in doubt for round 1. And 18% of people have him in their team. Yeah, I don't get this pick. Just take him out. Do yourself a favour and don't pick Toby Green. Now, he might have a few good games, but, you know, here and there, but I don't think the consistency is going to happen. He hasn't played I think he played late last year, but he was in and out the team with injury. And, yeah, he'll probably punch somebody, because now that punching is umpires are cracking down on punching, so, or closed fist contact sort of thing. So yeah, the last guy I'll touch on, yeah, don't pick Toby Green. I promise you it won't work out. So the last guy I want to touch on is Joe Danaher. Very shallow preseason. Did play in an intra-club. Very talented player, but yeah, not enough preseason for my liking. And he's been out for a very long time. I don't remember if he even played last year. So it would be at least like, I don't know, 9 or 10 months since he's played probably. So yeah, no to Danaher. So yeah, my favourites are Gresham, and I want to keep an eye on Parfit, Darling and Martin. So the only one I'm probably really considering is Gresham, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, thanks for watching. That video went a little long, so anyway, yeah, we'll see you soon.